So, in this next segment, this is something that I would like to do every podcast. Now, I'd like to start giving a bit of a mini review of sorts of Sunday night's Fear the Walking Dead. Now, these podcasts typically get recorded, streamed, um, streamed on Twitch, and then put up on SoundCloud Friday nights. Um, and then the YouTube video will get put up the, you know, sometime over the next week, Monday through Wednesday, or sometimes even Thursday, depending on how many topics there are. So usually, by the time you'll even get a chance to get a review of these episodes, you will have had ample time to see it. This episode aired Sunday night. Here we are, Friday night. It's been five. It's been five days and nights, so you should have seen it. But anyway, in case you haven't, spoiler warning. I will be discussing the mid-season premiere of Fear the Walking Dead. Um, Not a huge Walking Dead fan, but I do like it enough to have it be pretty much these shows are pretty much the only shows that I watch that are not on streaming. I will actually take time out of my schedule Sunday nights and watch them. Um, and when we started the podcast here months ago, it was pretty much right as I want to say season six for the regular Walking Dead series wrapped up. And it's when everyone was losing their mind over Negan, and everything was always focused on who's going to die, and how they did it again all through season six, that they did these fake out deaths and cheated us, not told us what we wanted to know. Well, now we're back in the swing of things. We had the mid-season premiere of season two's Fear the Walking Dead, and it was a very Nick-centric episode. Not only was it Nick-centric, he was the only core character, only character from like main character cast. I'm trying to think, stable of main characters that was really even in this episode. Period. And I think it worked against the show, or I guess against this episode, which was called Grotesque. And so before I get into the negatives, by the way, I didn't really care for the episode, in case you hadn't figured out by my tone yet. So the episode, what did it do well? Well, it did put Nick in a very desperate situation. He kind of left underneath odd circumstances. He left the main group at the mid-season end of season two, and I don't really even quite remember why he left. I want to say that it was a disagreement that he was having with his mom about whether or not the dead were dead or not, or if they were if they were still people. I don't know. He's got weird ideas going through his head right now. And, he left the group over it, from what I remember. So now he's on his own. He was trying to get to Tijuana, Mexico. Had a long way to walk. I want to say it was 150 miles that he was supposed to walk at one point. And I remember watching it with my wife, and we're like, wow, that is a long way to walk by foot with just a little water bottle with you. But the episode was appropriately titled Grotesque. And here's why. Well, pretty much most of the episode, Nick was walking around in zombie guts. He has figured out the zombie exploit, which gives you God mode powers. Zombies apparently don't know that you're living if you smell like them. Makes sense. So Nick does this quite often, as we've seen previously in the show. So you see a lot of that. You see a lot of You see one particularly gruesome scene where a couple of dogs get torn apart by zombies, a couple of guys with guns get torn apart. And at one point, Nick drinks his own pee. So we got that too. Could have done without that scene, but I know they're trying to get into. They're trying to gross us out, and they succeeded. My real so yeah, it really it grossed you out. So I guess some people might see that as a positive. But there you go. My real issues with this episode was it didn't really, except for the very end of the episode, the plot doesn't really move forward at all. And it doesn't really show us anything we haven't seen before. It's kind of interesting because in The Walking Dead, they kind of, in the regular Walking Dead series with Rick Grimes and his group, there is a lot of there's a lot of people who say, like, man, why don't they ever do the whole thing with the zombies where you cover yourself in their blood and you're fine. You like they don't know you're there and all this stuff. And it did seem to be an underutilized tactic. But Nick seems to abuse it. He does it like all the time. And here we just see him use it. It seems like he's using it too much, and it's working out a little bit too well for him. It seems, especially after seeing what happened to, I want to say the character's name was Jesse in the past season of Walking Dead, and their gruesome deaths, even though they were covered in zombie guts, and they still got torn apart. So it seems a little bit unlikely that this would work perfectly for Nick every time he tries it. And it does. So we've seen that trick. He was hiding from guys with guns. He was trying to get something out of a car. We've seen that in the Walking Dead regular episode where you come across like a highway and there's abandoned cars, and of course there's zombies in the cars, and it's just stuff that we've all seen before. And on top of it, not only is this stuff that we've seen before, none of it actually really moved the plot forward. Spoiler alert, Nick's in the desert trying to survive for like 80% of the episode. Towards the very end, he runs into some people that can help him. He gets bitten by a dog. And he needs help with that, and he starts trying to walk with a herd of walkers. He loses consciousness. Luckily, these people from a nearby compound/village take him in, give him medical treatment, and then he's fine. And then the episode ends. Like nothing happens in this episode. It's all about Nick, and then nothing really even happens to Nick that is significant. Like it's of course Nick's not gonna die in this episode, so any of the threats that he meets is pointless. Other than it kind of grossed you out a little bit. But yeah, that's if I'm gonna give a rating on this, I'd honestly give it a 5 out of 10. It wasn't a good episode. A lot of recycled ideas. Plot doesn't move forward until the very end. It just doesn't do anything.